Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our men's advanced Bible study, the 1st of February 2023. We'll be dealing with chapter 56, uncovering chapter 56 out of Jasher, later on in the class. That'll be the topic. I'm asking everybody to go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. There's a lot of information given, and the videos will connect dots for you, lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you are receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. This is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament, given to Moses on Mount Sinai. Shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our advanced Bible study. We're going to do our moment of silence, our prayer, psalms. So we're going to do current events, a little need to know information, and we're going to open it up for some Q&A, and then questions and comments, and then we'll go into our class with Joshua 56. Okay, this moment of silence that I'm referring to is in reference to our Creator Yahweh and His Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts, and all that they have prophesied in these last days about Israel, His people. Oh Lord, we come this day praising Thee and worshiping Thee for Thy might and Thy power and Thy great understanding. Oh Lord, the end times that You have foretold are upon us. Oh Lord, give us strength and wisdom to endure all that Thou hast foretold. Give us, O Lord, the knowledge to rightly divide Thy word, that it may be delivered in righteousness and in truth. Oh Lord, we need You so very much in these latter days, and we will tarry and depend upon You, O Lord, because there is none else besides You, O Lord. You are our deliverer and our redeemer. Peace be unto You. Okay. So with that being said, I'll read Psalms right quick. Okay. I'm gonna read Psalm 75. It's a warning for the wicked. It's a psalm of Asaph, David's chief musician. Unto Thee, O God, do we give thanks. Unto Thee do we give thanks, for that Thy name is near, Thy wondrous works declare. When I shall receive the congregation, I will judge uprightly. The earth and all inhabitants thereof are dissolved. I bear up the pillars of it, Selah. I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly, and unto the wicked, lift not up the horn. Lift not up your horn on high. Speak not with a stiff neck. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But God is the judge. He putteth down one, and He setteth up another. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red. It is full of mixture, and He poureth it out of the same, but the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. But I will declare forever, I will sing praises to the God of Jacob. All the horns of the wicked also will I cut off, but the horns of the righteous shall be exalted. So that was Psalms 75. It's a warning to the wicked. It's a psalm of Asaph. Okay. We'll do the current events.
That central banks were stockpiling gold at a rate not seen in 55 years. Analysts estimate that central banks purchased nearly 400 tons of gold in the third quarter of 2022. That much gold would require approximately 16 semi-trailer trucks to transport. In November, traders in the gold market noted that there there was a huge buyer entering the market and purchasing very large volumes of gold, a so-called whale. This whale was revealed to be the Chinese central bank in December. But it wasn't just the Chinese who were purchasing gold. Turkey, India, Uzbekistan, Egypt, Qatar, and Iraq are among the other buyers. Many of these countries have expressed an interest in joining the BRICS Plus alliance. Why are central banks buying gold? The majority of commentators agree that it is due to geopolitical turmoil. Jonathan Guthrie at the FT, for example, argues that gold is the currency of fear and mistrust, and that the democratic West and the authoritarian East are pulling apart amid mutual recriminations. Guthrie is certainly correct that a geopolitical schism is occurring, but when did gold become the currency of distrust? Throughout history, gold backing has been used to buttress trust in currencies. When sterling was the global reserve currency, it was said to be good as gold. Our era of paper money is the exception rather than the rule, and it began in 1971, when the US dollar's link to gold was severed. Central banks purchased gold at levels comparable to what we saw at the end of 2022 in 1967. All of this begs the obvious question: what if these purchases herald the end of the paper dollar as the world's reserve currency? It appears unlikely that the countries buying gold will attempt to back their currencies with gold. However, it appears likely that the immediate cause of the gold rush is an attempt to diversify away from dollars. Since the United States seized Russia's dollar reserves following the invasion of Ukraine last year, other countries have grown wary of holding dollars for fear of having their reserves seized in the future. As a result, the race for gold has begun. Perhaps there is no plan behind the current gold rush, but it could be read as the beginning of the evolution of a new global monetary order in retrospect.
Congratulations.
As countries around the world seek alternatives to the dollar, this could be the first step toward reshaping the landscape. The West is learning a difficult and fundamental lesson. Financial systems are built on trust, and when they are weaponized, the trust required to maintain dominance is lost. If we want to maintain our global power, it is in our best interests to try to rebuild trust in our financial system. Lula has also expressed interest in using the BRICS contingent's growing global influence to bring the war in Ukraine to a decisive end. Celso Luiz Nunes Amorim, Brazil's foreign minister from 2003 to 2010 and a key figure in the formation of the BRICS group with Russia, India, and China, told Reuters in October that President Lula had the disposition and track record to contribute to peace talks. He has the conditions to take part in a negotiating effort, which needs to be led by the European Union and the United States, but with the participation of China, obviously. Brazil can also be an important country whose voice is heard in the developing world, according to Amorim. As a group, the BRICS could be useful. But perhaps the most significant recent BRICS development is confirmation that the 5 member states are now seriously considering the introduction of a BRICS reserve currency. The currency, according to Pavel Knyazev, deputy director of the Russian Foreign Ministry's Foreign Policy Planning Department, will be created to better serve the economic interests of the BRICS nations and will be based on a basket of their respective domestic currencies: the Chinese yuan, the Russian ruble, the Indian rupee, the Brazilian real, and the South African rand. The possibility and prospects of establishing a common single currency based on a basket of BRICS currencies are being discussed, Knyazev said in early October, adding that member countries are actively studying mechanisms for exchanging financial information for a robust alternative global payment system.
Okay, so as you can see, they like I said, I can't reiterate this more as enough, is that they pecking at our system, the whole system, banking, economic system, the monetary, the shipping and everything. They pecking at, trying to bring it down, and it's about that, at that point. So, like I said, if you're not paying attention, you're gonna find yourself caught outside the system and not prepared. Got one more.
Welcome to BWC News. I am Elizabeth. Hedge funds poured in on January 31st, building the largest ever short bet on U.S. bond futures on the eve of a Federal Reserve meeting as the ongoing U.S. debt ceiling impasse threatens to put selling pressure on the U.S. Treasury market, worried about the risk of hawkishness and a hard landing of the U.S. economy. The most important news this week was undoubtedly the Fed's first rate meeting in 2023, as the market shifted from focusing on how much the Fed would raise rates to how the Fed would define the terminal rate. In addition, the Bank of England and the European Central Bank will also announce their latest rate hikes. Just before this super central bank week comes, a legendary investor is pessimistically predicting that U.S. stocks are likely to plunge 50%. This Thursday, the Federal Reserve will announce its latest rate hike decision after 2 consecutive days of meetings. But the market has predicted how much the Fed will raise interest rates for a long time, with a 99% probability of a 25 basis point hike at the moment. This is the third consecutive meeting where the Fed has toned down the rate hike in a row, the opposite of what it was at the start of the rate hike. The big concern in the market now is how long will the Fed raise rates by 25 basis points and where will the terminal rate stop? The market now believes that the Fed should suspend rate hikes or even switch to rate cuts as soon as possible to save the economy. However, Fed officials are generally agreed to raise to at least 5% or more, which indicates that the U.S. rate hike cycle may be longer than everyone thinks. On the other hand, almost at the same time, the European Central Bank and the Bank of England will also announce the latest rate hike. A high probability will raise interest rates by 50 basis points, that is to say the future spread between the euro and the pound and the dollar will be further narrowed. The euro and the pound against the dollar will continue to rise, while the dollar will continue to fall. The dollar decline is only one of the adverse factors for the U.S. financial markets. In the view of a legendary investor, U.S. stocks also face a lot of uncertainty risk. Grantham had previously predicted the bursting of the market bubble 3 times, and succeeded. Now in a letter he wrote to investors, he once again predicted that the U.S. stock market may collapse, although in the last year U.S. stocks have fallen 20%, but he believes that this year U.S. stocks are likely to fall by up to. By the end of this year, the S&P 500 will fall to 3,200 points. He analyzed that the current valuation of U.S. stocks is still above average, and according to the trend line of the S&P 500, it should reach 3,200 by the end of the year. It's just that the U.S. labor market is still relatively strong, and China's reopening will give the global economy a boost, so it's possible to postpone the U.S. bear market, but the decline in U.S. stocks will not be absent. As the lagging effect of Fed rate hikes continues, the full impact of the recession will be felt by the second half of 2023, particularly in the U.S. bond and real estate markets. According to the latest data released by the National Association of Realtors, NR, on January 30th, U.S. home sales slowed for the 11th consecutive month last December as higher mortgage rates, soaring inflation, and steep home prices weakened consumer demand in the housing market. On an annualized basis, U.S. existing home sales fell 34% compared to December 2021, the lowest growth rate since November 2010, when the U.S. was still in the throes of the housing crisis triggered by subprime mortgage defaults, and new home sales also fell 26.6% year-over-year and by the most since October 2021. As senior U.S. economist Michael Sidner said in a January 31st analysis, by some measures, the Fed's rate hikes have led to a housing market downturn as severe as the 2007 to 2009 one, causing pain for potential buyers, homeowners, builders, and other real estate-related industries. Because for the Fed, they believe that depressed housing will help achieve the lower economic activity and inflation the Fed hopes for in the coming year, it is expected that U.S. home sales may soon fall below the levels witnessed during the last U.S. housing crash as they decline month by month. Meanwhile, as the U.S. housing market continues to face the weakest headwinds, the backdrop of soaring home ownership costs and a wave of falling home prices is starting to spread. A large number of sellers, including Chinese businesses, are selling their homes at reduced prices to facilitate deals and are busy shedding their hands on U.S. real estate. According to a report published by Real Capital Analytics, a U.S. real estate data research firm, in a January 28 update, Chinese buyers were active buyers of star hotels and commercial buildings in the U.S. for many years, mainly in Florida and California, but things are different now, as the Chinese buyers, private and corporate, of yesteryear have been in the market since last March when the Federal Reserve started raising interest rates. They have been exiting the U.S. property market early. Since the Fed started raising interest rates, and have sold off at least a net of about $16 billion worth of U.S. properties since the second quarter of 2022.
Okay, any comments on that? Okay, we got some need to know information right here. I think it's pretty interesting. We want to check that out. We'll do it, open it up for some Q&A. Get it.
It's Vicki Dillon, and I'm so pleased to be a contributor here on African Diaspora News Channel. Please make sure that as you come in giving us a big thumbs up and share the broadcast. Thank you so very much. Now, family, I am absolutely the luckiest girl in the world. I say that in part because I was so honored to be blessed with an interview by living legend, living icon, the great Dr. Claude Anderson. We know that for decades, he has literally put his money and his life on the line to procure economic justice for Black folk, particularly here in America, though he is famed across the world. And he has at least 5 books, most of which I also sell in bulk, and am a huge supporter of his and his wife and his family. So I recently interviewed with him, and he said something that was so extremely important about his life. I want you to listen to this clip of them talking privately. And they were calling us monkeys. They were calling us all kind of names. And they slipped up and made it clear that they were trying to hold control in certain areas and economic resources for their group. Now, this tape was leaked, and they spewing all this anti-Black racism. Everybody was tripping when they found out that they said they Hispanic brothers and sisters will call them out of their names, and they admitted that they were trying to hold control in that region so that their community would maintain have economic control. How did you know that that would be the predicament we find ourselves in now? And I'm sure, I would assume, that you're not surprised that this audio leaked of Hispanic lawmakers using anti-Black language and admitting that they were moving so that they were moving in such a way so that their community would maintain the resources and control there.
I've known it all my life. As a matter of fact, that is almost the primary sole reason that I'm on the earth. I came to the earth almost strictly to fight for Black folk, to correct what nobody's wanted to do all these centuries. That's why I'm here ever since I was 8 years old, going to a church in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and hear them talk about Samson and what happened to him. And they mal-distributed information about Samson. Samson came to the earth for one purpose and one purpose only. He came here as a prototype for Jesus Christ, and he developed one sense, that is, I will not come to the earth and let you continue to maltreat and mistreat and subordinate my people. And I've been on them ever since I was 8 years old, and that's what I'm on the earth for, even though I might have to leave here soon. But that's what I'm here for, to take care of Black folk and tell you the truth of what's going on. 99% of all the Blacks right now who play leadership roles at a state level, city level, and federal level don't know what they're talking about and don't really care, and have no feelings or sentiments about Black people. I have the sentiments. I've done it all my life, and as I said, I've never had any support from the Black overclass that got all the money that are now in recreation and entertainment. They don't do that.
Isn't that something? I gotta admit, I got a little emotional during my interview with him. And the reason being is because when you see someone like him dedicate his life for so long for us, and he specifically wrote out the play-by-play, the specific blueprints to ensure, to guide us, to give us the map for economic revolution and freedom, that's really something. And I want all of us to be sure that we check out his books, his legacy, his plan, you understand. And I want us, more importantly, to be about the business of that. Let us not allow the oppressive class and their shameless bones and biscuits, their bootlets, their Black looking shields, denigrate and disrespect and diminish his legacy. It's up to us. Be clear. Mainstream Black America that tends to be Democrats and so forth, do you all know they shun him? Even recently, Roland Martin was on with his panel, and Roland invoked my name. He's invoked our brother Phil Scott's name and others. And he reamed us because one of the reasons, of many reasons, but one of the reasons he specifically said, we love to quote Dr. Claude Anderson. Let me tell you something. Black-looking people are not happy about us achieving and realizing Black economics and Black liberation. So family, it's about time for us to be about the business of this collective mindset, moving as a block, and by extension, that diaspora. So let's be sure to look at his books and his plans at powernomics.com, family, and be sure to support also a news publication, Moguldom, covered the story, and perhaps some of the other ones. But this is so important that we keep this alive by manifesting and living this so that we can experience freedom, not just for our four no more, but for the Black nation altogether. Thank you so much for tuning.
Okay, I don't know if nobody on here know anything about Dr. Claude Anderson, but like she was saying, he did a lot of research, and he got a lot of knowledge on economics and ways and systems on how to get out for Black folks to come together, get ahead. But like I said, no, like she was saying, nobody really of any kind of major influence really backed him. It's pretty much the same thing that happened with Marcus Garvey at the end. Okay. Yeah, so we had questions and comments. We on Q&A. Anybody got any questions they want to bring up about something they read or came across? They wanted to talk about it for a minute. Okay.
Yeah. Hey.
What you got?
Shalom, shalom.
Okay,
Man, I had ran across something on when I was reading the Old Testament. It was a while back, and I seen what he was saying. And I want to say probably it was either Exodus or Deuteronomy, but I believe it was Exodus, and it was where I guess I think it was Most High, and he was saying, "For as Israel is my first son." Yeah. And he said that we are his first son, the first begotten son. So I was looking at that because I was like, if we're his first sons, how can Jesus Christ be?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Let me get that first. Yeah, let me get it. Okay. Okay, give me a minute. Yeah, here you go. Chapter 5. It says, afterwards Moses and Aaron went in and told the Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, who is the Lord, that I should obey his voice or to let Israel go? I know not the Lord, neither will I let Israel go. And they said, the God of the Hebrews have met with us. Let us go. We pray thee 3 days, journey into the desert, and sacrifice to the Lord our God. And let's he fall upon us with pestilence or with sword. And okay, let me keep going. Okay, I ain't gonna get held up on that. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. He says, okay, Exodus chapter 4. Let me see. Yeah, I don't see it. But he says, I know what you're talking about. He says that he said, let my people go, and I will can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, he says, let my people go. It says that Israel is his begotten son, first begotten son. So, like I was saying before, when you understand what they did with the Old and New Testament, this is where they got a lot of information from. When they said, okay, I knew it was over there. Yeah, so yeah, Exodus chapter 4, verse 22 says, thou shalt say unto the Pharaoh, thus says the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn son. So
Yeah, that's it.
well, that was Exodus chapter 4, verse 22. So the thing about that is, just like we was talking about the other day, notice how he's talking about the nation of Israel, all 12 tribes, but he's talking about them in a singular form.
Yeah.
And then he turned around in 23. This is what they did, when they concocted JC. Verse 22 says, Exodus 4 and 22 says, thou shalt say unto the Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, Israel, the nation of Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And then 23 says, and I say unto thee, let my son go, the whole house of Israel, that he, see that singular, but he talking about the whole house of Israel, may serve me. And then here we go right here. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son. See, now, this is what they get, JC, this is singular right here. We're talking about each and every nobility in Egypt, son, he's going to kill.
Yeah.
Each one of their firstborn. So he talking about their firstborn in singular, but when we talk about Israel, he's talking about the whole nation of Israel in singular, because one man had all 12 boys.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how that goes. When you have to read it in that context. Because if you don't, they're gonna pull the wool over your head.
Yeah, because I was like, that just kind of conflicts when it says, Jesus Christ is my only begotten son. When it says that in the New Testament, that don't make sense.
Right. Exactly.
And that's like clear. That's clear in your face that can tell you right then that it's a problem.
Right. And then he said right here, Israel the firstborn son. So what's all this going on in the New Testament about JC being the only begotten son? When he said he got you know what I'm saying? It's a son right here. So how is he the begotten son? That's crazy.
I had read that a while back, and then the other day it just hit me. I was like, I remember reading in the Bible that he said that Israel was the first begotten son, but they were so admitted that Jesus Christ was his first begotten son. It just conflicts the whole point. The whole the Old Testament and the New Testament just don't go together. They just don't sink in. That's why when a lot of people try to they try to explain the Bible, like when I be watching that Corey stuff, and they be trying to explain the Bible. It's so confusing to even them. It's because these are two different books.
Right, exactly.
So it doesn't sync up like it should, and they have to try to their best to try to they try their best to try to discuss.
Okay.
Because it's not syncing up. It's two different books.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'll show you right here, and they red-handed. It's red-handed. We call them red-handed right here. I'm in Matthew. We just saw that the God of the Old Testament is telling you Israel is his son, the nation of Israel. So let's look at Malachi. This is how they changed it up right here. Malachi chapter 3 and starting at verse 14. It says, and when he arose, he doing good until he get to verse 15, but it says Matthew 2 and 14, when he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, right? And was there until the death of Herod, that it might, now here's where he messed up, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of by the Lord, by the prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. So he's saying right here, the prophet, was taking you back to the Old Testament, the prophet prophesied this right here. But notice he don't name the prophet. You got to do your homework and find out.
Yeah.
The prophet he's talking about is Hosea. So that's when you go to Hosea. And so they want to make it out like this was an error. Now, you can see this is intentional. So you go to Hosea chapter 11, right? And then you see it. Chapter 11, verse 1. This going right along with what we saw in Exodus. It says, and when Israel, Hosea 11 and 1, when Israel was a child, then I loved him. Singular, see that? And I called my son out of Egypt. They go right along with Exodus 4 and 22.
Yeah.
We see right here, this the son, Israel is the son. Now we get over here to Matthew, and Matthew gonna say that what these prophets was talking about in the Old Testament was Jesus. But we see that right. See that?
Mm-hmm.
They won't even say the name of the prophet because they don't want you to go there. When you go there, you're gonna see it on that note. You ain't talking about no Jesus.
Yep, that's true. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, just something as simple as that should turn you, at least encourage you to start doing your research and stop listening to what these folks saying and get it for yourself.
Yeah, that's true. Because that's really what had me. Because I was like, it ain't adding up, and it's the reason why the people who believe in the Old Testament and the New Testament is they can barely explain themselves.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. You got anything else?
No, that was just something that I was like, man, I can't wait to get on the to get online so I can talk to Turk about this, man. This is something I got to run across.
Oh yeah. It's all through there. You can see where they fixing it all up. But we go to I'm gonna start reading out the book of Jasher. I'm gonna read chapter 56. We have a little more time. I'll read some more, but I'm gonna start
Okay.
chapter 56. Start reading. Okay. Okay, it says, and Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years, and the days of Jacob and the years of his life were 147 years. At that time, Jacob was attacked with that illness of which he died, and he sent and called his son Joseph. Joseph his son came from Egypt, and Joseph came unto his father. And Jacob said unto Joseph and unto his sons, Behold, I die, and the God of your ancestors will visit you and bring you back to the land which the Lord swore to give you and unto your children forever. I mean, after you. Now, therefore, when I am dead, bury me in a cave which is in Mizpah, in Hebron, in the land of Canaan, near my ancestors. And Jacob made his son swear to bury him in Mizpah, in Hebron, and his son swore unto him concerning this thing. And he commanded them, saying, Serve the Lord your God, for he who delivered your fathers will also deliver you from all trouble. So we see right here in Jasher that Jacob is also Jacob prophesying to Joseph that the Lord of hosts is coming to get them out of Egypt. And then we see in the King James where Joseph told them that they was gonna get delivered. So we see where he got it from. He got it from Jacob. So and Joseph passed it on to the other descendants. And Jacob said, verse 4, 56 and 4, Jasher. Jacob said, Call all your children unto me. And all the children of Jacob's sons came and sat before him. And Jacob blessed them and said unto them, The Lord God of your fathers shall grant you 1,000 times as much and bless you, and may he give you the blessings of your father Abraham. And all the children of Jacob's sons went forth on that day after he had blessed them. And on the next day, Jacob again called his sons, and they all assembled and came to him and sat before him. And Jacob on that day blessed his sons before his death. Each man did be blessed according to his blessing. Behold, it is written in the book of the law of the Lord pertaining to Israel. And Jacob said unto Judah, I know my son, that thou art mighty and mighty man, for thy brethren reign over them, and thy sons shall reign over their sons forever. Only teach thy sons the bow and all the weapons of war, in order that they may fight the battles of their brothers who will rule over his enemies. And Jacob again commanded his sons on that day, saying, Behold, I shall be this day gathered unto my people. Carry me up from Egypt and bury me in the cave of Machpelah, as I have commanded you. Howbeit, take heed, I pray you, that none of your sons carry me, only yourselves, and this is the manner you shall do unto me. When you carry my body, go with it to the land of Canaan to bury me. Judah, Issachar, Zebulun should carry me by at the eastern side, Reuben, Bear, okay, Bear at the eastern side, Reuben, Simeon, and Gad at the south, Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin at the west, Dan, Asher, and Naphtali at the north. Let not Levi carry with you, for he and his sons will carry the ark of the covenant of the Lord with the Israelites in the camp. Neither let Joseph my son carry, for as a king, so let his glory be. Howbeit, Ephraim and Manasseh shall be in their saying, Thus shall you do unto me when you carry me away. Do not neglect anything of all that I command you, and it shall come to pass when you do this unto me, that the Lord will remember you favorably and your children after you forever. And you, my sons, honor each his brother and his relatives, and command your children and your children's children after you to serve the Lord God of your ancestors all the days, in order that you may prolong your days in the land, you and your children and your children's children forever. And when you do what is good and upright in the sight of the Lord your God, to go in all his ways. And thou, Joseph, my son, forgive, I pray thee, the crimes of thy brethren and all their misdeeds and the injury that they heaped upon thee. For God intended it for thine and thy children's benefit. And of my son, let not thy brethren to inhabit, say, and O my son, let not thy brethren, the inhabitants of Egypt, neither hurt their feelings, for behold, I consign them to the hand of God, and in the hands of to guard them from the Egyptians. And the sons of Jacob answered their father, saying, O our father, all that thou hast commanded us, so will we do. May God only be with us. And Jacob said unto his sons, so may God be with you. And when you keep all his ways, turn not from his ways, either to the right or to the left, in performing what is good and upright in his sight. Okay? Okay? And for I know that many and grievous troubles will befall you in the latter days in the land. Yea, your children and your children's children on the serve the Lord, and he will save you from all trouble. And it shall come to pass when you shall go after God to serve him, and will teach your children after you and your children's children to know the Lord. Then will the Lord raise up unto you and your children a servant from among you, your children, and the Lord will deliver you through his hands from all affliction, and bring you out of Egypt, and bring you back to the land of your fathers, to inherit it securely. And Jacob ceased commanding his sons, and he drew his feet into his bed, and he died, and he was gathered unto his people. And Joseph fell upon his father and cried out and wept over him, and he kissed him, and he called out in a bitter voice, and he said, "Oh, my father, my father." Notice that's what JC did right here. "Oh, my father, my father." Okay? Anyway, and his sons' wives and all his household came and fell upon Jacob, and they wept over him, and they cried in a very loud voice concerning Jacob. And all the sons of Jacob rose up together, and they tore their garments, and they all put sackcloth upon their loins, and they fell on their faces, and they cast dust upon their heads toward the heavens. And the thing was told unto Asenath, Joseph's wife, and she rose up and put on a sack, and she, with all the Egyptians, women, and with her came and mourned and wept for Jacob. And also all the people of Egypt who knew Jacob came all that day when they heard this thing, and all Egypt wept for many days. And also from the land of Canaan did the women come unto the Egypt. And when they heard that Jacob was dead, and they wept for him in Egypt for 70 days. And it came to pass after this that Joseph commanded his servants, the doctors, to embalm his father with myrrh and frankincense and all manner of incense and perfume. And the doctors embalmed Jacob as Joseph had commanded them. And all the people of Egypt and all the elders and all the inhabitants of the land of Goshen wept and mourned over Jacob. And all his sons and his children of the household lamented and mourned over their father Jacob many days. And after the days of his weeping had passed away, at the end of 70 days, Joseph said unto Pharaoh, I will go up and bury my father in the land of Canaan, as he made me swear, and then I will return. And the Pharaoh sent Joseph, saying, Go up and bury thy father as he said, and as he made thee swear. And Joseph rose up with all his brethren to go to the land of Canaan to bury their father Jacob as he had commanded them. And the Pharaoh commanded that it should be proclaimed throughout Egypt, saying, Whosoever goeth not up with Joseph and his brethren to the land of Canaan to bury Jacob shall die. And all the Egyptians heard of Pharaoh's proclamation, and they all rose up together, and all the servants of Pharaoh and the elders of his house and all the elders of the land of Egypt went up with Joseph, and all the officers and the nobles of Pharaoh went up as the servants of Joseph, and they went to bury Jacob in the land of Canaan. And the sons of Jacob carried the briar upon which they lay, according to all that their father commanded them. So did his sons unto excuse me, so did his sons sons unto him. And the briar was of pure gold, and it was inlaid round about with onyx stones and betlem. And the covering of the briar was gold woven work, joined with threads, and over them were hooks of onyx stones and bellum, whatever it is. And Joseph placed upon the head of his father Jacob a large golden crown, and he put a golden scepter in his hand, and they surrounded the bride as was custom of the king during their lives. And all the troops of Egypt went before him in disarray. At the first, all the mighty men of Pharaoh and the mighty men of Joseph, and after them, the rest of the inhabitants of Egypt. And they were all girded with swords and equipped with coats of mail, and the trappings of war were upon them. And all the weepers and mourners went at a distance opposite the bride, going and weeping and lamenting, and the rest of the people went after the bride. And Joseph and his household went together near the bride, barefooted and weeping. And the rest of Joseph's servants went around him. Each man had his ornaments upon him, and they were all armed with their weapons of war. And the 50 of Jacob's servants went in front of the bride, and they strove along the road, myrrh and aloes and all manner of perfume, and all the sons of Jacob that carried the bride walked upon the perfumery, and the servants of Jacob went before them, strolling the perfume along the road. And Joseph went up with a heavy camp, and they did after this manner every day until they reached the land of Canaan. And they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which was on the other side of Jordan, and they mourned an exceedingly great and heavy mourning in that place. And all the kings of Egypt, all the kings of Canaan, heard of this thing, and they all went forth, each man from his house, 31 kings of Canaan, and they all came with their men to mourn and weep over Jacob. And all these kings beheld Jacob's bride, and behold, Joseph's crown was upon his head, and they also put their crowns upon the bride and encircled it with crowns. And all these kings made in that place a great and heavy mourning with the sons of Jacob and Egypt over Jacob. For all the kings of Canaan knew the valor of Jacob and his sons. And the report reached Esau, saying, Jacob died in Egypt, and his sons and all Egypt are conveying him to the land of Canaan to bury him. And Esau heard this thing, and he was dwelling in Mount Seir. And he rose up with his sons and all his people and all his household, a people exceedingly great. And they came to mourn and weep over Jacob. And it came to pass when Esau came, he mourned for his brother Jacob, and all Egypt and all Canaan again rose up and mourned a great mourning with Esau over Jacob in that place. And Joseph and his brethren brought their father Jacob from that place, and they went to Hebron to bury Jacob in the cave by his fathers. And they came unto Kiriath Arba to the cave, and as they came, Esau stood with his sons. Okay. And they came to Kiriath Arba to the cave, and they came to Esau, Esau stood with his sons against Joseph and his brethren as a hindrance in the cave, saying, Jacob shall be buried therein, for it belongeth to us and to our father. And Joseph and his brethren heard the words of Esau's sons, and they were exceedingly wroth. And Joseph approached unto Esau, saying, what is this thing which they have spoken? Surely my father Jacob bought it from thee for great riches after the death of Isaac. Now 25 years ago, and also all the land of Canaan he bought for thee and from thy sons and for thy seed after thee. And Jacob bought it for his sons and for his seed after him for an inheritance forever. And why speakest thou these things this day? And Esau answered, saying, thou speakest falsely and utters lies, for I sold not anything belonging to me in all this land, as thou sayest. Neither did my brother Jacob buy aught belonging to me in this land. And Esau spoke these things in order to deceive Joseph with his words. For Esau knew that Joseph was not present in the days when Esau sold all belonging to him in the land of Canaan to Jacob. And Joseph said unto Esau, surely my father inserted these things with thee in the records of the purchase, and testified the record with witnesses. And behold, it is with us in Egypt. And Esau answered, saying unto him, bring me the record, and all that thou wilt find in the record, so will I be, so will I do. Okay. So, and Joseph called unto Naphtali his brother, and he said, hasten quickly, stay not, and run, I pray thee, to Egypt, and bring all the records of the purchase, the sealed records and the open records, and also all the furnished records, in which all the transactions of the birthright were given. Fetch thou, and thou shalt bring them unto us hither, that we may know from them all the words of Esau and the sons which they spake this day. And Naphtali hearkened to the voice of Joseph, and he hastened and ran to go down into Egypt. And Naphtali was lighter on the feet than any of the stags that were upon the wilderness, for he would go upon the earth, upon the ears of corn without crushing them. And when Esau saw that Naphtali had gone to fetch the records, he and his sons increased their resistance against the cave. And Esau and all his people rose up against Joseph and his brethren to battle. And all the sons of Jacob and the people of Egypt fought with Esau and his men, and the sons of Esau and his people were smitten before the sons of Jacob. And the sons of Jacob slew of Esau people 40 men. And Chesson, the son of Dan, the son of Jacob, was at the time with Jacob's sons, but he was about 100 cubits distance from the place of battle, and he remained with the children of Jacob's sons by Jacob's bride to guard it. And Chesson was dumb and deaf. Still, he understood the voice of the consternation against them, and he asked, saying, why do you not bury the dead? And what is this great consternation? And they answered him the words of Esau and his sons, and he ran to Esau in the midst of the battle, and he slew Esau with a sword, and he cut off his head, and it sprang to a distance, and Esau fell amongst the people of battle. And when Chesson did this thing, the sons of Jacob prevailed over the sons of Esau, and the sons of Jacob buried their father Jacob by force in the cave, and the sons of Esau beheld it. And Jacob was buried in Hebron, in the cave of Machpelah, which Abraham had bought from the sons of Heth for possession of the burial place. And he was buried in a very costly garment. And no king had such honor paid him as Joseph paid unto his father at his death. For he buried him with great honor, like unto the burial of kings. And Joseph and his brethren made mourning 7 days for their father. So that was Jasher chapter 56. Anybody got any comments on that? Okay. Any comments?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to shine a light on. I want to go back to, like I said, the 400-year prophecy they talk about in Genesis 15. And my sayings on that is, I keep saying it over and over, that the prophecy in Genesis 15 is talking about Egypt. So we see Abraham made that prophecy, but let's look at this right here. Keep your mind on line with the 400 years prophecy. They saying that just happened, just completed 2019. So that from Genesis 15. So I'm starting at chapter 56 of Jasher, verse 3. Jacob said unto Joseph and unto his sons, behold, I die, and the God of your ancestors will visit you. Right? It's after Abraham. It's after Abraham. So he says, Jacob said unto Joseph and his sons, behold, I die, and the God of your ancestors will visit you and bring you back to the land which the Lord swore to give you and unto your children after you. Now, therefore, when I am dead, bury me in the cave which is in Mizpah, in Hebron, in the land of Canaan, near my ancestors. And Jacob made his son swear to bury him in Mizpah in the Hebron, and his son swore unto him according to this thing. And he commanded them, saying, serve the Lord your God, for he who delivered your fathers will also deliver you. Keep in mind what Abraham said. The prophet said Abraham. And Jacob said, call all your children unto me, and all your children's children. His sons came and sat before him, and Jacob blessed them, and he said unto them, the Lord God of your father shall grant you 1,000 times as much as bless you, and may he give you the blessings of your father Abraham. And all the children of Jacob's sons went forth on that day after he had blessed them. And on the next day Jacob again called for his sons, and they all assembled and came and sat before him. And Jacob on that day blessed his sons before his death. Each man did he bless according to his blessing, and behold, is written in the book of the law and of the Lord appertaining to Israel. So when you see that, like I was saying before, you see that all Jacob doing is reiterate what Abraham told him, and the whole thing is it's about Egypt. It's not about no America. It's about Egypt. Let me read it right quick. I'm in Genesis chapter 15. You read that. Read Joshua 15, first 10 verses, and then read this right here. You can vice versa. How you want to do it? So I'm in 15. Okay, you see right here. It says Jacob ain't born yet. Right here. So I'm in Genesis 15, starting at verse 7. This is prophecy. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee up out of the land from Ur of the Chaldeans to give thee this land, the land of Canaan. And he said, Lord God, whereby will I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, take me a heifer of 3 years old, and a sheep goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece against another, but the birds he divided not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abraham drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. So that's the prophecy. And they're trying to say, this is America, right? Then look at 14. And also that nation whom thou shalt serve will I judge, and afterwards they shall come out with great substance. That's the exact same thing Jacob told them. They in Egypt. And Jacob came to Egypt, found out Joseph was still alive, and Jacob told him, he coming to get y'all and deliver y'all from this place and take you back to the land of Israel. Same thing Abraham saying. Jacob came after Abraham. There's no way on the sun he's talking about no America. He's talking about Egypt. Abraham prophesying about Egypt.
That's true. That's true. That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. And there's something. So with that being said, like I said, every time it comes up, I'm gonna deal with it, because just like everybody tricked off with the New Testament, they tricked off with a lot of other things that they didn't misconstrued in the scriptures, misleading us. Okay. Anybody else got any comments or anything before we go? Okay. I'm gonna say shalom. Shalom. I'll see everybody tomorrow at 8 o'clock for the Women's Advanced Bible Study.
Shalom, man.
Okay.